All right, class. First off, as always, good day. I'm glad you're here. So, today's lesson is going to be a little bit different than some of my typical lessons because the thing is, I love history. As some of you guys have pointed out, that I'm so extra when it comes to history and things like that. Because, again, I do have a love for it. I do enjoy it. I love teaching it. And one of the things that I really like about world history is I get to sometimes go and off on a little tangent because it does reflect on some things that happened during history during this time. It doesn't necessarily have to do with people's decisions about policies and war and treaties and things like that. It also encompasses other stuff in other subjects. So today, what I mean by that is like today we're going to be looking at things from literature, things from music, art, science. We're going to be looking at things that happened during this time, during the imperialism time, that came out during this stuff. Okay, and hopefully you do like it. Hopefully you enjoy it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So, we're going to analyze who Ludwig von Beethoven, how unique he was to the music world. We're going to examine the difference between romantic and realism artwork. And we're going to create an argument on whether we would know about germs if it wasn't for this one guy, Louis Pasteur. So, yeah, this is one thing that a lot of students were just like, wait, what? What are you talking about? It just, they could not wrap their minds around this thing about the germs, which we're going to be talking about a little bit later. Let's go to our warm up. So here's your warm up picture. Now, the question I'm asking you is basically straight up, who is this guy? Write down his name. Now, I know some of you guys look at this picture, instantaneously, you're like, I know who that is. Got him. You're writing down his name right now. Probably you probably already finished. Awesome. But some of you guys may look at it and go, I've seen this picture before. I know I've seen that face somewhere. Well, dig in your mind. Pause the video, reflect, try to think back your sixth, seventh, eighth grade years. Some of you guys may have no idea who he is. Okay, that's fine. Give an educated guess. What? Who is he? What is he? What do you think he does for a living? You know, um, look at the clues around the picture. Okay, what do you think he does? What do you think he did? What makes him so important that this portrait, very famous portrait, was made of him? Okay, so if you put IDK, I don't know, things like that, you're not going to get credit for it because it tells you right there on number one at the end, give an educated guess if you don't know. Okay. Now, another student told me in class, I don't know how to spell his name. I know who it is, but I don't know how to spell his name. Try it. Try to spell it out as best you can. Okay. I can read. I can kind of get the idea of what you're trying to write. But if you're just throwing out letters from like, if you just got it from a alphabet soup can and just tossed in letters, and yeah, no. But if you honestly are trying to, I will be able to decipher and be like, oh, okay, I see who they're saying. Okay, so try your best. So again, that's all I can ask. Okay, so pause the video, write your response because we're moving on in three, two, one. So during this time, there was a large enhancement in music, art, literature, science. Okay. And especially during with music, art, and literature, there was a big jump, and there was a thing called the romantic and the realism. Okay. Now, we're going to look at art first. Now, there was this guy named Eugene Delacroix, and he was a very, very influential romantic artist. Okay. And he had two major characteristics when it came to his artwork. One of them was a fascination with the exotic. Things really just bam, boom, and the expressions on the people and things like that. Just as some of you guys say, extra. The expression on the face, people going, or things like that. Just like, wow, that's going a little too much on the expression. That's what they wanted. That's what they went for. So you could know definitively this person is scared, this person is happy, this person is terrified, this person is this or that or whatever it may be in between. Okay. The other thing was the passion of colors. It wasn't just like one type of color and it was like the 40 different shades of it. No, 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 no. You use different color variations of white, brown, black, green, yellow, red, purple, things like that. Toss that in. The more the better, you know. And when asked about his paintings and stuff like that, he said a painting should be a feast for the eyes. And that's the thing with artwork, guys. It's not just be like, oh, it's nice. No, no. Not there's not every piece of art you're gonna be looking at and going, oh, that's fantastic. No, no, of course not. But you should find some art somewhere, sometime, and go, wow, that's awesome. That's amazing. That's it should speak to you, should make catch your eye, captivate you. Okay, like I said, is every piece of artwork going to do that for you? Absolutely not. Okay. Just have to find your type of art that you appreciate and you like. Okay. But you should try it, should expose yourself to the variations of art. You know, look at it all and see what do you really like? What speaks to you? Okay. So the difference between the two romantic era artwork had stuff about the common man. That was the theme. Common man. Had, again, strong emotional feelings, very, things like that. Um, if you, one of my favorites, you could even use this as it is at the pandarias that I go to. You always see the picture of the Aztec dude and the dead woman. He's all like angry, looking up, towards the heavens, and again, that would be romantic era type of expression, the angered face looking up to the heavens, type of thing. Again, the use of nature, because a lot of those times those would have like the mountains and things like that in the forest, so there you go. Celebration of individualism, that was another big one. And use of imagination. Let the mind just go, let it run, you know. Now, realism didn't really use much imagination because again it deals with realistic stuff, realistic people, settings, things like that, um, people doing things that average people can do. You wouldn't see somebody jumping in the air 40 feet above you know trees. Yeah, it'd be the person jumping over a little lake, a little pond, water. Yeah, that's more realistic, you know um, people doing some action, doing something, either whether it's reading a book, playing a game, running. They wouldn't just be sitting there just like looking at the sky, or just, you know, doing nothing. They would be doing something, even if it's something like playing a game of chess or stuff like that. That's actively doing something. There's some type of character development, whether it's redemption or a character arc or something, but there's some type of development going on. And the last part is uh, depicts the social class of the era, the setting, or whatever it may be. So yeah. So this picture you see here, this would be more likely a realism because if you see he's chained up, so probably in prison, which people typically do. The colors, it's not very colorful. They seem to use the same shade of color, just or the same color, but just different shades of it, darker. As you get to light. So and again, not there is some emotion, but you can't really see. Like you see a dude just like looks like he's sleeping in the corner, but the other dude's kind of like reaching out. So yeah. Now, when it comes to music, at this time, no one was more influential than Ludwig van Beethoven. And if you put him down as your warm up picture, awesome. That's who does. If you didn't, I don't want to see you erasing. I don't want to see eraser marks on your paper. Stick to what you put down, okay? Because again, you're still going to get your credit, whether you put the right answer or wrong. It's just you won't get anything if you put like IDK, okay? Now, he is credited with bridging two major types of music, classical and romantic. Okay. Now, arguments have been made from music scholars around the world from then till now on the genius of his movie, the music, the ability, the difficulty to combine the two, and then distinctly say, "Oh, what part is this?" Because you can't say this is definitely classical, this is definitely romantic. No, there's hints of variations of it amongst the music, and it gives this very dramatic and intense feelings and stuff like that as you listen to it. Okay. Now, his early work was definitely classical, but after his third symphony, that's where it started to really bring in more of the romantic, and it just made his music pop even more. Okay. Now, little fun thing about Beethoven was at one point in his life, he actually went to Vienna, and he went there to try to learn from the master himself at that time, who was uh, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Now, we don't know if they ever met. We don't know. But what we do know for a fact was that Mozart did not train Beethoven. Okay. He did not train him at all. Okay. But apparently, Mozart, sorry, Beethoven did go to Vienna to try to learn from Mozart, but he didn't. Okay. We don't even know if they met. Now, here's a sad thing about Mozart. As wonderful of a composer and musician he started losing his hearing. Okay. And the thing is, a lot of musicians, even to this day, they listen to their music and going, okay, we need to put more of this. You need to lower the bass on this. You need to put a snare here. We need to do this and this. We need to auto-tone this. And he couldn't do that. He couldn't hear the music. He would be playing on the piano instead of being like, okay, we need to add more of this. We need to add trombone, this measure, this and that. He couldn't hear it, but that still didn't stop him. And by his ninth symphony, which is considered his all-time greatest symphony, he was basically completely stone deaf. But yet he made this amazing, amazing music as he was losing his hearing. Now, one of the greatest writers at this time was this man named William Blake. Now, Blake wasn't just a writer, he was also a painter and a poet. And his poetry is one of the things that really captivates people at this time. Okay. His literature and poetry was both romanticism. And he wrote these epic poems, one called the Songs of Innocence and the Songs of Experience. And people at that time, okay, even they at that time were like, this poetry is a masterpiece. This is absolutely beautiful. It's very mind intriguing, and it's just wow. And when asked about it, he said that his two books, the two contrary states of the human soul, you know, and I've had students ask me, well, what is that? What does he mean by that? Basically, guys, from my interpretation from the times I've read those two books, is basically these means by the contrary of states of human souls is the good and bad, the yin and yang, the balance of life. Again, this is my interpretation. Okay, so take it with a grain of salt. But you ultimately choose. Bad things happen to you. You choose if you let that eat you up, or do you progress past it and do more with your life instead of letting that hold you back. Do you hold on to that anger? Do you let it go and can pursue your other things that you want to do? Do you use that anger and hurt to basically destroy yourself and let it eat you up, or do you use that as fuel to project yourself further? you know Everyone's different. I mean, people will say, oh yeah, I'd be good, I'd use it for good. It's one thing to say it, it's another thing to actually do it. That's a big difference. Are you going to do it? Can you do it? That's the issue. That's the real test. Okay. Now, here's the thing about the literature part during this era. There were so many amazing, amazing writers. You had Sir Walter Scott who wrote Ivanhoe. You had Mary Shelley, and if you watch the show Wednesday on Netflix, she says on there, "I'm jealous of Mary Shelley because she wrote Frankenstein at a young age." Yeah, she did, and it was phenomenal. That book just wowed people how well it was written, and the story and the originality of that blew people's minds. And then you got one of the best, in my opinion, one of the best writers and poets to come outside besides William Blake, Edgar Allan Poe. And he wrote this epic poem that we know as The Raven. Some people know this poem by heart because they love it so much. But again, he was one of those guys who was really underappreciated at his time. And after he died, that's when people were like, wow, this dude can write. Dang, his writings are awesome. His poetry are on point. Typically, what happens with these writers. Okay. So, when it comes to science, there are two major scientists that really change things for everyone. Um, Number one, in my opinion, is this guy, Louis Pasteur. That's why I put him first. He proposed this thought, this theory that there are microscopic things on your hands, on the tables, and when you grab things and eat things, drink things, stuff like that. They're called germs. And that's what will get you sick. It's not that you didn't wear socks or um, you were possessed by some demon or you looked at somebody and they put a curse on you and that's why you got sick. He's like, no, it's because you didn't wash your hands. There's things on your hands that are called germs, and when you grab something, you eat it, you're putting those germs on that item, and then you're consuming it, and it gets in your system. Guys, the thought of germs isn't that old. It's only like at max, I want to say 130 years, 140 years. The thought of germs is fairly recent, you know. And people will do all kinds of crazy things because they thought, oh, this is what it'll get this illness out of you. They would put like leeches on people. So these leeches, if you don't know, they're little worm things and they suck blood. They thought, oh, that this will drink the blood or drink the bad stuff out of you. No, this person's still sick, and now these leeches are drinking their blood and they're like sucking on them and drinking. It's like no, you know. So you had half of the medical community basically saying, "Dude, you're crazy. You're stupid. Oh, tiny things around and things." Oh. And then you had half of the other doctors and scientists people going, "You know what? Damn, that makes sense. Because we put people, isolated them, to prevent people from getting sick, and yet still they get sick. Maybe it is like cleanliness, and maybe there is something to this whole germ thing that we do need to um, see how we operate. See, make sure things are sterilized and clean before we use them. That we don't cough on people. That we cover our mouths and things like that. Yeah. And thanks to what happened with COVID time, if you remember, people realize, oh, geez, maybe we should cover our mouths because spit and things like that when we cough, it protrudes. So yeah. And again, there are still some people. No, no, there's no such thing as germs. Even now, to this day, people who still don't believe it. As we know now, yes, there are germs. The other thing Pasteur did was he sanitized or cleaned liquids. And two of the big things that need to be clean are milk and wine, believe it or not. Drinking raw milk will give you this thing called milk sickness. It's basically whatever the cow ate, it didn't like completely digest, and there's some nasty stuff in there that you're gonna take in and drink. It's like drinking swamp water. Murky swamp water. It's like all dirty brown. And would you drink it? Heck no. You'd be like, no, I want clean that. Give me some clean water. Because that's the thing. That milk is not clean. The wine is not clean. And that's what pasteurization does. It cleans it. Okay. The other guy was Charles Darwin. Now, Darwin promoted the idea that human material are beings are from the natural world, that we didn't just pop up. We came from something else. And he wrote that in 1859 in his book, The Origins of Species by Means of Natural Selection. He basically said that species of both plants and animals evolved from something over a long period of time. Okay. Now, to give a simplified version of this, I asked my students this in class: what came first, the chicken or the egg? And some students go, oh, well, the egg. Well, what laid the egg? A chicken. Well, how did the chicken come to be? From an egg. So where'd the egg come from? And it's like, you're going in circles. You're going in circles. Because that's the thing. He's saying there was something before that basically laid the egg. And it wasn't truly a chicken, it was something else. Everything that we have is based off something else, a foundation. Um, if that example doesn't really work for you, try this one. If you have family from, let's say, in the South, Mexico, Texas, things like that, like I do, and if you've ever been there during the summertime, you go down there, you're going to be hurting, you're going to be sweating, you're going to be like, oh my God, I can't stand this. Oh, geez, Louise, this is like humid and things like that. Or if you move from a cold temperature place to here, you're like, God, this place is hot. I'm always burning up, you know, because the thing is, we as people, we adapt to our environment. People in Texas, their summers, they're used to it. They're used to being all sticky and hotty and sweaty. You know, they're used to that. We from California, we have dry heat up here. So when we go down there, we're like, God, I'm dying. Oh, it's so hot. I'm sweating like crazy. They're like, this is normal. It's just like if they came over here and be like, oh my God, this heat. So, oh, let's get under the shade. Oh my God, this heat so hot. We're like, yeah, yeah, don't stay in the sun too long. You'll burn. Like, duh. Because they're used to being out in the sun and sweating and not really burning. And the thing is, if you go up north, you know, they're going to be like, oh my God, it's cooler. You'll be like, oh my God, I want a jacket or something. They're like, oh no, this is nice and cool. This is nice. Like, oh, this is too cold. This is freezing for being wintertime. Because to them, 60 degrees, 50 degrees, that's hot. And to us, that's pretty cold. Some people see that's cold. So they'll be like, oh man, this is pretty chilly. I'm going to bring a jacket. In the summertime, you crazy? Because again, every people, we adapt to our environment. Okay. All right. So here is your next question. Well, the thing is, I'm going to give you the question first and then show you the videos. The question says, what comes to your mind as you hear this music? Now, in class, I played some music. I actually played two songs. And the thing is, I asked the class, close your eyes, which I'm going to ask you too. Close your eyes when you play the music and visualize what comes to your mind. What pops up when you hear this music? So give the music. Honestly, put down your other music, turn off everything else, your TV, your stuff, your phone, all that stuff. Take out your earbuds and actually listen to this music. Okay? And I'm going to ask you to write down. So hopefully you have the volume on. I want you to write down what song you listened to. Okay? Besides this, tell me which of these songs did you listen to? So here is the four songs. Now, you can listen to Beethoven's Moonlight Sonnet. Listen to that for like 3 to 4 minutes, okay, at least. And tell me what pops in your head. If nothing pops in your head, go to another song. The another song you can go to is Beethoven's Symphony, number 7, A minor. All right, this is one of them. Okay, listen to it for like, again, 3 or 4 minutes. What pops in your head? Close your eyes and listen to it. Um, Now, unlike my other classes, I'm not going to give you just two options. I'm going to give you actually four. But again, I want you to actually listen to it. The other one is Fur Elise by Beethoven. Um, Listen to it. What pops in your head? And the last song you could listen to is Ode to Joy. Okay. This one is actually a pretty good one. The guy with the piano hands. Um, I would suggest you watch the videos that ones that I have, because if you listen to other ones like this guy with the piano hands, he does For Elise really fast, which it's not supposed to be fast. He just picked up the tempo, and it's really supposed to be a little bit slower. So that's why I suggested these videos. So go to this one, this particular one, this one, or this one. Okay. On your paper, write down which song you listened to, which one did you got your mind going, thinking, and write your response to it. Okay, but be sure you put down the song, which one it was, so that way I know you actually listened to this video. And there you go. Okay. So once you finish that, once you've listened to the music, you wrote your response. That's it for this lesson. So hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully you enjoyed it. You guys, you take care. You be safe, and I'll see you later. Okay.